success is on the other side of failure, right? I mean, I failed miserably. My coach at the time put a mirror in front of me and said, "Where did you fail? Where do you want to get better? You can either run from this or go. Where are you going to learn from this?" And I took a hard look at myself internally. I mean, it was tough. I mean, it was a tough time, and not just the income. I failed people, and that to me was just the worst part of that, right? And I'm like, there's just no way in heck that I am going to fail clients moving forward. And it's not going to be because of financials. It's not.
All righty. Welcome back to Are You Winning? I am Coach Craig Zuber, and I'm here today with the one and only Kyle Harrison. I'm super excited to have Kyle Harrison here. He is actually a MAPS coach, an executive MAPS business coach at that. Kyle's out of Salt Lake City, Utah. He is the CEO and the founder, or the president and the founder, of Your Bookkeeping Partner. And Kyle, you've been doing this, you've been in the real estate industry now for about 17 years. Is that accurate?
That's exactly right. January 1st of 2006.
January 1st, 2006. So you're just about 17 days away from being 17 years in. Wow, that's pretty fascinating, Kyle.
That is. Well, it's interesting because my mom's been in the business since 1978. So I was actually sort of in the business in diapers. However, full-time agent January 1st, 2006.
Okay. So as a byproduct of growing up with your mom, you've learned a lot about the industry.
A lot. At 16, I told her I'd never get into real estate. At 28, I did. So here we are.
Wow. At 18, I said the exact same thing, and I'm a third generation agent on both sides of my family, and look where we're at, Kyle. What the
Exactly.
heck?
It's fascinating.
So let's just jump in here. Your bookkeeping partner, that's interesting.
Yeah.
17 years in the real estate business. You're a MAPS coach.
Mm-hmm.
You coach people on a weekly basis, right? Like, how on earth did you get into owning and being the founder of Your Bookkeeping Partner? How'd that happen?
Honestly, Craig, it was literally by failure is how I stepped into this, being the owner of a real estate specific bookkeeping company. It was probably about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago or so. I had a full schedule of coaching clients, and in about 10 days, I lost 10 clients as a coach. And Zuber, as well as I do, that's just devastating, right? It's just absolute failure, feeling like I failed the clients. And so I worked with my coach at the time, and we worked through what that process looked like. And it boiled down to was financials. And so I could either quit, which I had almost intended to do because I felt like a failure, or I can lean into my weak points, which is the financial side at that point. So I just dove in, learned the budget models, the MRE Chart of Accounts, and then I made it mandatory for my coaching clients to send me a P&L the third week. And now it's the fourth week of the month. And what I realized after about 1.5 to 2 years of that, Craig, that there just wasn't a lot of good products out there that could actually produce a P&L and that matched up with the model that Gary's gave us, the budget model. And so I called up my sister-in-law, who has about 30 years of financial experience. And I said, "Hey, can we do this? This is what I'm thinking." And then that's how Your Bookkeeping Partner was launched. It was launched January 1st of 2021. Sorry, January 1st of 2021.
January 1st of 2021.
Yep.
So we're we're 17 days under 2 years from that company being launched.
Mm-hmm.
And what does the company look like today? So you're almost 2 years in. How many clients do you have? What does that look like?
Sure. Yeah, we just signed two clients today. We're at 150 clients right now. Truly honored and pleasure to be a part of their life, and we're real estate specific. So Gary talks about the one thing. Our one thing is real estate. So we bookkeep to the MRE Chart of Accounts. We created a proprietary chart of accounts through the lens of a coach. So we took Gary's models, all this chart of accounts, and packaged them into a way where it made it easy for agents to understand and look at their business through the lens of as a business owner, CEO, and it helps me as a coach to be able to analyze their business and their financials pretty quickly. And so then we have a staff of about 20 people right now. It's that leverage leads leverage. And, we're growing very, very quickly, which is exciting.
That is exciting. I just want to go back for a minute though. So less than 2 years ago, basically, or no, not less than 2 years ago. When was it? How long has it been since that day or you lost those 10 clients? How long has that been?
About 2 years.
About 2 years since you lost the 10 clients?
Yeah, so it was about 3 to 3.5 years ago. And then 2 years later is when we launched the bookkeeping company.
Okay, got it. Right.
Yes,
So
yes.
let's go back. So 3.5 years ago, you lose 10 clients right out of the gate based on the fact of you don't actually understand the financial aspect of this business. And whether, I don't know at the time, did you think that you were helping them or you think that you were coaching them in the right manner? And then all of a sudden you realize they're going broke? Like what exactly happened?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, Craig. I just wasn't keeping an eye on it. I mean, when people cancel, they either cancel of lack of value or it's a financial reason. At that time, a lot of the cancellations that I had was financial reasons. So I was coaching them on different things. I wasn't looking at their money and asking questions around it, which I'll be just fully authentic here. It's a little embarrassing, honestly, as a coach, when it just exposed some of my weaknesses as a coach, which turns out to be the blessing that I've had. I'm an investor as well. So when it comes down to money and running performance sheets and everything, I've been investing for 15 years. However, I wasn't looking at the P&Ls through the lens of a business owner. And so that was a big wake-up call for me when that happened.
And Kyle, I just want number one, congratulations, because most of the time somebody experiences that level of pain or frustration or exposure, and they decide to either lean in to what their actual strength is and run away from their weakness. You decide to lean the other way and figure out, hey, I'm not so good at this, but walk me through that process. Is that normal for you? Have you experienced that before in your life, or you had a level of pain or people leaving you or whatever that you didn't flee and you leaned into it? Is that a part of who you are?
Yeah. I'm a person that never gives up, and I'm super competitive through sports and, being an athlete my entire life. And, success is on the other side of failure, right? I mean, I failed miserably. My coach at the time put a mirror in front of me and said, where did you fail? Where do you want to get better? You can either run from this or go. Where are you going to learn from this? And I took a hard look at myself internally. I mean, it was tough. I mean, it was a tough time. And, not just the income, I failed people. And that to me was just the worst part of that. Right. And I'm like, there's just no way in heck that I am going to fail clients moving forward. And it's not going to be because of financials. It's not. And so I just leaned into that and just picked up every single book I could read and just learned about business financials and really inspected what I expected. So if I was expecting a P&L from my clients, I needed to produce one for myself and for my coach. Right. So it just was just leaning into that. And I think honestly, Zuber, it's just I don't give up, man. It's who I am.
Hey there, I'm Jeremy Herman, CEO and co-founder of ClarityNOW. Listening to this podcast means that you're committed to your career and to growing your business. You're the reason why we created ClarityNOW. You see, ClarityNOW is the real estate software designed to transform real estate agents into business owners. Now, being a great real estate agent is an entirely different skill set than being a great business owner. That's where ClarityNOW can help. ClarityNOW is powerful because some of the industry's top real estate coaches built it. We know what insights as coaches top performers need to grow their business. So, do you have a business plan based on your net profit goals? Do you know how you're performing against your quarterly goals? Do you generate a P&L each month? Do you have the best tools to help your team members hit their goals? Are you managing your company's pipeline and conversion reports? Do you have the data that you need at your fingertips to run a successful business? ClarityNOW can solve all these problems. Visit us at www.claritynowre.com and schedule a personalized tour to learn more. Mention this ad and we'll throw in 1 month for free. Congratulations on your success, and let's take your business to the next level together.
All right. So who you are is making a decision to learn something that you weren't so great at. That was your blind spot. Now you're aware of it, right? You make this decision so how long, step one, you make the decision. All right.
Yep.
You get aware. Now you're experiencing pain. Oh, wow. You see the mirror. You have a decision to make. Decision is, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to get better at it.
Yes.
And okay. So from that day that you make that decision, whether through frustration or laughter or figuring out how we're both going to grow our hair back, right? How long did it take? How long did it take before you went from, wow, I don't really know this at all, to I got a pretty darn good handle on it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'd say it took about a good solid year of just looking at P&Ls, asking questions, being in masterminds around financials, asking some of my peers and my colleagues. I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of good friends in the business world, both in real estate and out of real estate. How do they look into how do they track their numbers, their money, et cetera. So it was really about a good year. And through that process, Craig, it was really understanding, my coaching clients, their P&Ls were terrible. And it was just, and Gary gives us a great tool in Life by Design. However, P&Ls are designed to make business decisions from it. They're the rear view mirror of our business. They expose our habits, right? And then you can start to get into budgeting and cash flow, which is the future, which is the windshield of our business. If you're not able to see the habits and understand what money you're spending, and based off the models that Gary gives us, how are you really able to make informed business decisions? You can't. And so through that process, I just started learning that. And that's really started about that year. I started thinking, man, we can do something better. We can help the agent, get better. And, our big, hairy, audacious goal is to get a P&L in every real estate professional's hands. That's just what our mission is to empower agents, to empower clients to financial freedom, and that's really our mission. So it definitely was a process, Craig. I just leaning into it, feeling grossly uncomfortable at times, and just being vulnerable and asking questions of people who are a lot smarter than me.
Well, I appreciate your transparency and authenticity. Like I said, I've never once met anyone in my entire life thus far that has succeeded their way to success.
That is so true. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, exactly.
But it also didn't take very long, right? So this happens, and then a year later, you're pretty darn good at it. So that's what I would love the audience to hear is you make this decision, and now you're going to go get educated, right? Yep. So if you have to reverse engineer this, what I heard you say is you started looking at lots of P&Ls. But how many were you looking at them every day? Were you looking at different style businesses, just real estate specific businesses? Give us an example of what that looked like.
Yeah. So not only was I looking at all my clients as P&L, and by the way, that took a while too. There's some clients that just refused, right? And it's like, hey, this is just a requirement. If you want to be in my schedule, this is just the way it's going to be, right? And so,
wait. So not a requirement. You changed the standard of what it takes to stay in your schedule now.
That's correct.
Without a P&L. If you don't have one, it's okay. Potentially, it's okay. I'm either going to coach you to get one, to start producing one, right? Because numbers tell the story. Numbers don't lie.
Right.
And like as human beings, if you're not submitting it right out of the gate, it's either you don't have access to it or you don't have it. Which one is it?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, I think my experience, and this is not for everyone, just through my experience, my lens, is sometimes money can be very awkward. Some people are just not, just awkward with money. Maybe it's how they grew up with money or no money or, what have you. And I think the book Psychology of Money is a really good book to lean into that, how your view on money. So there was that coaching process around it. Not only is it just producing a P&L, it's now what's the relationship with money? Oh, by the way, now what's their relationship with their personal finances? Because if their front door is open, Craig, to their business, what's their back door, which is their personal finances? And it doesn't matter how much money you make, it's how much money you keep, right? So there's two sides of this, not just the P&L from the business. Now it's started to open up the lens for clients on the personal side and really start to help them understand money, wealth, and really just tracking it from that point.
Amen. Absolutely. Okay. So you start making it a requirement that if you're in your schedule, you're going to produce a P&L. This is going to be one thing that we're going to visit on a monthly basis, right? So make the decision. Now you're studying it. You're being a student of this game. You know how important the numbers are, what the story tells you, and now you're making it a requirement.
Yep. Yes. And going back to your question, how many other P&Ls I started to look at? I started to look at all different types of P&Ls, from manufacturing, people I have friends with, people that own property management companies, people that own investment companies. Just looking at the different cost of sales, how they're tracking it, chart of accounts, and how they're tracking it per industry. Looking at their cost of sale, what makes up a cost of sale? What does a balance sheet do for a business? How do you start to look at a budget? Where do you start to look at cash flow? I mean, just all these questions are starting to come together, and it really boils down to the first report, which is an accurate profit and loss. And all these different reports come off of that. It's just about being the best business owner, right? Through the financial lens.
Absolutely. Which is a challenge for real estate agents, right?
Sure.
Because
absolutely,
they didn't come into essentially industry to become a business owner. They came in this industry to sell real estate. And so that transition of I'm going to be a salesperson or a sales consultant to now I need to improve my game and turn myself into a business first, potentially, and then go build a business is a big challenge, right? Because it's an awareness, right? Numbers tell a story, and some people that don't want to look at them.
That's right.
Want to know the story.
Well, it's fascinating too, because real estate is one of the best industries, and it's created the most millionaires and billionaires. If you really look at it, it's created the most millionaires and billionaires, right? So it's a travesty if agents that come into this business become successful and they're making money, they're not retiring millionaires. It's crazy to me, right? They're either behind on their taxes, or maybe they're making a ton of money and they're spending their lifestyles is higher than the income that they bring in. It's just, there's all different reasons behind that. However, by tracking your P&L and having a relationship with your money can actually create a legacy for generations, because that leads into building wealth, that leads into, to buying, investment properties that can impact nonprofits down the road. It can impact your kids' college fund. I mean, this is what, the financial side of business can do for families and legacies, which is pretty freaking awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, our sponsor ClarityNOW was built on the same premise, right? Taking who you are and what you know, transition you into a business owner so that you can keep your numbers in front of you. Yours designed so you know exactly how much you have spent, what's going in and what's going out, and how much you're keeping in the scoreboard. So businesses that are keep getting produced by coaching clients and or failures and or mistakes, right? Like, again, nobody succeeds alone, and you don't succeed your way to success.
Exactly. Here's the thing. Here's what's interesting about the financial side of things, Craig, is if you go and Google top 5 reasons why businesses fail, the top 3 are related to financials. That's a fact. Yeah. And most business owners don't track it. So no wonder why most small businesses fail.
Which in turn is the same thing, right? It's like they didn't get into the business itself. Right. Statistically, the small business owner didn't get in for the business purpose. They got in for the passion or the love of what they do. Right. Hey, I'm a really great chef, therefore I should go out and open a business. Well, you're a great chef, but that doesn't make you a great business owner.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. So I love this story. Thanks for sharing, man.
You bet.
So I guess based on the premise of Are You Winning, you're winning because of the beating that you took and the loss and the pain that you went through.
Yeah.
To get yourself to absolute clarity of knowing where each person stands. It's in your world because you're forcing them to know their numbers as well as you know their numbers.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. Beating is an understatement. I mean, it was pretty brutal, man. I mean, it definitely, and I'm so grateful for it because I wouldn't be to this point. I wouldn't be the coach I am today. I wouldn't be like, name all the stuff that I am, that led me here today. That was the one turning point in my career, was that beating that I took those 10 days.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're still here, man.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's great to be here.
I'm glad that you warrior up versus wimped up, man.
Me too. I'm glad I'm who I am. That relates to all my family. I mean, my mom, just family is just no give up, so I'm just blessed for sure.
So what do you think? Knowing who you are, what are the traits that you have that make you who you are?
I'm gonna say values, right? Are you saying traits, values of who I am and what makes up Kyle?
Yes.
There's several values that I hold that are they're non-wavering. Number one is grit, right? I'm just gonna step in and get the job done. Really, number two is loyalty. Super loyal, high integrity, always will do the right thing. Relationships are extremely important to me. Your family, my kids are extremely important to me. And just the will to live, man, the will to not quit, the will to keep challenging and keep leveling up and keep getting better. And I always think back, how am I living my dash? Everybody's going to have a birth year, and everybody's going to have a death year, right? Am I really living to the dash on my terms? And those are just questions that I continue to keep asking myself every day. And am I leaving this place a better place than I found it? And I'm working towards it.
Yeah. So the clients that are in your world today versus the ones that were in your world, how different are they?
They're much focused on financials. We do a lot of wealth building. I tell you, what's really been cool is this last year, several clients became millionaires, which is kind of neat. I actually had a couple clients fire me as a coach because they're wealthy. They created enough passive income. They're like, I'm out. Thank you very much. I've created enough passive income that I don't need to work anymore. To me, those are huge wins, right? And it's through money, it's through net worth and investing. And then clients that really want to build a company, who want to be a CEO of their company. Those are the clients that just awesome to work with. So,
yeah. Okay. So again, if we're going to recap this process, I'm going to say number one is you got to make a decision, right? You decided after you looked in the mirror, after you realized what this was, you decided to basically become a pro at financials.
yes.
You decided to become a pro, but then you decided to study and learn and execute and document pretty much every aspect of the financials for real estate sales team.
Yes. And it was one question, Zuber, and I want to add to this, and this is the importance of coaching, because my coach at the time asked me a couple questions that just made me reflect. And the last one was, what are you going to do about it? And at the time, I didn't know. Like, was I going? So this is the weight of coaching, right? I've had a coach since I've pretty much been in real estate. That was a turning point for me because he asked me the right question in the right moment. And I think that's something to be said here is, just that question to be able to lean on, get you thinking. And then at that point, you're either going to take the why and the right to making that decision, or another left or whatever to making a different decision. And so my coach at the time helped me make the decision and challenged me, and I stepped into it.
Your coach at the time helped you reflect.
Yes.
Become aware the decision was made by you.
Correct. But he slowed me down, put a lens on it, put a mirror in front, asked me some great questions. I made the decision from there.
Which was the uncovering. So if we look at it, it was potentially the root cause, right? Because we could always blame it on other things.
Sure.
We can always blame it on exterior things. We can blame it on X, Y, or Z. Number one, something happens. Number two, then we acknowledge and get awareness behind what it was that actually caused it. And it was, let's just call it, it was ignorance in knowing and understanding the business financials of a real estate organization.
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. Now you're aware of it. So somebody puts the mirror in front of your face. You got help because the 10 clients actually put the mirror in front of your face first. The coach actually now says, now that you've faced all of this stuff, we know what the root issue is. Now you have a choice.
Yep.
Avoid it, embrace it, and do something about it.
Yep.
So you make the decision. You make the decision to go get educated.
Yes.
So first we go through pain, we become aware. We've now acknowledged what caused it. You made the decision of what you're actually going to do about it. Okay.
Yep.
And you're studying, you're learning, you're executing, you're documenting, you're looking at P&Ls. You're basically just doing anything and everything that you possibly can as fast as you can to educate yourself to become better, not just for you, but for the people that you have put in your world.
Yep.
Partnerships.
That's 100% correct. Yep. Exactly right.
Says a lot about you, my friend.
I love this business, man. I love real estate. I love being a coach. I love the financial side of things. I love numbers. I geek out on them, so it's just grateful.
So is there any other steps for listeners right now, besides the awareness, besides the decision, you owned it, you decided, you executed, became a student of the game. Anything else that you would add to the process or the steps for somebody that's like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting in this spot right now where I actually don't understand my numbers. I feel lost in the sauce like a big fat meatball, don't know which direction to go.
Right.
Need some help and some clarity.
Yeah.
What would you share? What would you say to them?
Well, if anybody's listening here just around financials and maybe they want to put their head in the sand, the first step is just start to become aware. Just start looking at your bank statements, your credit card statements. Just start to have a date with your money once a week at the very minimum, because you're going to start seeing trends. You're going to start seeing habits, and then you're going to start becoming comfortable with that, right? And then at that point, you can start moving up to, maybe hire a bookkeeping company, or maybe you do it yourself. Start moving into a life by design that Gary gives us, that sheet. That maybe is phase 2. And then you can start moving up to a professional P&L. At the end of the day, the only way you grow is being uncomfortable. And if you're uncomfortable looking at financials or money, lean into it. Because the more uncomfortable you get, the more you're actually growing as a person and as a human being. And I think it's just getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Be vulnerable. You don't know everything. Look at those people around you. Lean into them. What I found through this process, Zuber, is I had so many people in my world that I just reached out and asked, and they spend a ton of time with me just explaining it through their lens that these are financial people. These are all the people in the world. They spent their time just helping me understand things. And by me asking the question and being vulnerable, man, it helped a lot.
That's what of all of that, if I was to summarize it, it would be the number one, you're aware of it. Hey, if you have more money going out than coming in and you're not winning in your financials, maybe the first step is ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Jason Abrams said something at one of the KW Wealth things. He goes, the most expensive, how do you say it? The most expensive thing in your P&L is your ego.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, there's you know, I've been doing this for a little while. I would say, what is it that you can't see on a P&L that costs the most? Yes, I would say ego is 1, drama is 2, and unsold listings is 3.
Yeah. Simple, not easy, right? And I love what you said one time. I think it was you said it, or I forget. It was, you know, there's not too many things that 20 real estate conversations a day can't solve. So if you're not making money, there's 2 ways to make more money in any business that you look across. It's either increased volume or increased margin, profit margin, right? It's really those 2. As a business owner, what are you going to choose?
Absolutely. I mean, if you have the relevant real estate conversations on a daily basis, it can probably afford you the bookkeeper and or the assistant that can put the financials in front of your face.
Yep.
If you don't actually track them yourself. You don't have to track them yourself. You just need the ability to have somebody do it and read them and know what they mean.
Yep. That's exactly right. You know, I think that's the other thing that we're really proud of in our company is we're using everything Keller Williams. I mean, the teaching, the coaching, the providing. We're an open book. I mean, we provide so much teaching in different. We do a financial Friday, the first Friday of the month. Anybody can come in there with any type of financial questions and just learn, right? And be a part of the people around you. You're the average of the 5 people you hang with, right? I mean, so come in and learn. That's where you start. That's how you get better.
Right. So step 1, after we're aware and we made the decision that we want to improve and we want to get better. Now I need help. Okay. So step 1 could be, we're going to go to this free resource, which is called what?
Financial Fridays. It's the last Friday of every month. It's either the 3rd or the 4th. I can't remember. It's Financial Friday, and it's open up to clients. It's open up to our bookkeeping clients. I've opened it up to coaches, clients, if they want to come. It's just, again, sometimes we go over financial, sometimes we go over wealth building. It's basically anything money related, and that's what it's geared towards.
Love that. So we'll make sure that we get that link put in so that anybody that wants to attend it that's listening in has complete access to go get educated.
Awesome.
Love that. All right, Kyle. So you ready to transition a little bit into the personal you versus the business you?
Am I going to cry? Yeah, that's you kind of have a tendency to make people cry, Craig. So I'm just kidding. I'm totally teasing. Yeah, absolutely. Fire away. Let's dive in.
I'm going to transition into the Clarity File, which is about you. So just tell us some fun facts, man. Like, is there a TV shows? How about a TV series or a movie or anything that you're currently watching or streaming?
Yeah, nothing. I'm not a huge TV person. I do like a few movies. I'll tell you the things that I really like are anything documentaries. I'm watching Stutz. Is that how I pronounce that? So I'm kind of in the middle of that. So anything like 30 for 30, anything sports related about like a certain athlete or a certain mindset. I've watched several master classes around great leaders. If you haven't watched Master Class, there's an app on your phone and you can subscribe to it. It's the best of the best in whatever industry that you want to learn from. So those are pretty cool. It was Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks. So that was the last thing about learning about Starbucks. I don't know if you knew this, but they almost went belly up in I think the early or mid 90s. And so he's talked about that failure and how he had to address 12,000 people, So it's stuff like that I really enjoy, and getting in the minds of other great leaders. in this world. So that's what I tend to lean towards and watch.
All right. How about a book? You got a book that comes to mind that's made either the biggest impact on you, or it doesn't even have to be the biggest impact. Is there a book that is not? How about this? Is there a book that's not business related that you're currently reading?
Not too many. I will tell you the biggest three books that have had the biggest impact is How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Road Less Stupid, and The Ultimate Blueprint to an Insanely Successful Business by Keith Cunningham. That is a financials book. So those three books have had the biggest impact just in how I think, leadership, money, how to communicate with people. So those are the three.
Okay. So those are the three books. Are there, can you tell me the same thing or tell us the same thing about humans that you may study?
I study leaders. So I study the brains of great leaders, what's made great companies. Any like the GE, there's Built to Last. That was a book that I read just about great leaders of, Henry Ford's and GE's, and, those are things. So I don't necessarily study people. I study great leaders and how they approach business and how they lead. So I watch things on Oprah, and so it's just, again, it's really across the board.
By studying these great leaders, have you ever come across ones that stand out to you that absolutely, without a doubt, aren't great leaders?
That's a great question. Yeah, I probably don't want to announce them on here. I can definitely, just in my experience of work and relationships and those types of things, some people in my personal world that weren't great leaders. Yeah, I think.
Okay, without using names then, Kyle, then tell us what was uncovered. What did you find, like traits that actually by studying them or uncovering them, you figured out, hey, these are the traits that I'm not willing to follow?
Yeah, ego is one of them. A dictatorship, not a democracy, is another, right? So those are really two big traits that I see that is just that I'm not willing to follow. I think some bad leaders just don't stay curious enough. They assume, and assumption is the mother of all screw ups, right? So they assume things, or they put an emotion involved. At the end of the day, as a leader, we're dealing with humans, right? We've got to stay curious and ask questions, and leading people is hard. That's why we've been given 2 ears and 1 mouth. Are we asking the questions and listening, right? Listening to what's being said and listening to what's not being said, right? Are we really paying attention? And so those are some of the leaders that I've seen that are just haven't made great leaders. The great ones listen, stay curious, ask questions, and their ego is checked at the door. And they genuinely like people. Like they want to impact lives. Those are some great traits of great leaders.
Amen. All right, Kyle, if you could go back to when you were 20 years old, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh man, that's a great question. What advice would I give? Time. I think at 18 or 20 years old, we think time is infinite. Time is not infinite. And the older you get, the more time flies by. So I think I would have created more urgency as a 20-year-old. And then I would have got around a lot more smarter people at the time. I would have leaned into smarter people. And I had some smart people around me. However, I was 20 years old and I had an ego. It was terrible. And I would say probably around that 28 to 30, Craig, where I really listened. And we actually had a mentor that taught me how to be a great salesperson. They helped me tremendously to really how to approach sales, how to approach people, how to communicate to people. So that's what I would tell myself is back then is listen, lean into people that are smarter than you, and just pay attention. Time is not infinite.
All right. Well, if you could pick any other profession outside of real estate, Kyle, what would it be?
It's funny. I used to hate to fly. Like I used to get almost deathly ill to fly, and like sweats, like looking where the vomit bag was. And I mean, it was that bad. And I got to tell you, man, I think it would be pretty cool to be a pilot. You're serving people, you're seeing the world, you're traveling, you get the opportunity to potentially travel all over the world, see cool places. I think that would be a pretty neat job.
I love it. The thing that potentially you're terrified the most, you decide that maybe I should just take control of it and go be that.
Well, I used to freak out because somebody I didn't know was in charge of a tin can that I was riding at, 600 miles an hour at 37,000 feet. That's what kind of freaked me out. And then I'm like, man, it'd be kind of neat to be a pilot. But anyway.
Well, I just got to ask, is there anything holding you back from doing it now?
My eyesight, I'm having too much fun. That's a big commitment, and it's a huge commitment. I've considered maybe getting a private license. Still a big commitment. I've got so many other cool things I'm doing. So I'm just not willing to give up what I'm doing right now to go do that.
There you go. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I really want to thank Kyle Harrison again for joining us today. And our special thank you to our sponsor, ClarityNOW. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast to get in the trenches with top real estate business owners who are winning and willing to share their lessons. It's been great, Kyle. Appreciate it, man.
Likewise. I appreciate you, Zuber. Talk to you soon.